Welcome back to Ask the Attorney. We're here tonight with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm in Clarksville. 3 locations in Clarksville, including Fort Campbell. Yeah, one right downtown. The Kennedy building's right in front of the courthouse. And the Kennedy Place is on Wilma Rudolph. That's our busiest. I mean, it's exploding in Clarksville. And then right outside the post, where we have 30,000 active troops, is the Kennedy Center. So all 3 of those wide open, lawyers trying to help people. 3 locations makes it convenient for our clients. All right, and please call that number at the bottom of your screen, 737-plus, 737-7587. And Kevin has practiced for more than 30 years and really can answer pretty much anything you give him.
Well, we
Civil,
can
criminal,
hit it, whatever.
Bankruptcy,
we'll come up with a, you know, one of the good things is we learn the theory. And so even if you didn't know the specific statute, you got a pretty good idea of what we're confronted with.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to the calls.
Alrighty.
We've got Brenda here. Hi, Brenda.
I wonder if I could ask 2 quick questions, 2 different subjects.
Okay.
Hit it.
Okay. First one, if I have to go to court, I'm trying to get an attorney, but it's a civil matter, and that's, you know, there's no guarantees there.
Yes.
I have to go to court, and if I have to file something myself, is it permissible, since I'm not an attorney, to mention that in a investigation that I asked the Board of Professional Responsibility to conduct, that they privately reprimanded an attorney? And should I ask my second question?
Can you file that in your motions? Is your question as a general rule? You can,
private,
as long as you have a good faith basis to do so.
That's exactly well said. You're not supposed to make allegations in any legal pleadings that doesn't have some foundation. So if there's been an active investigation and you believe that to be true, really when you're signing papers that are filed with the court, you're really carrying that you can be put under oath and you didn't make a misstatement.
What's your second question, Brenda?
I'm the one that initiated the investigation, so there's no question but that this attorney was privately reprimanded. I mean, it's a factual matter, not a speculation.
Okay. All right, and the second question?
So the answer's the same then, or?
I would say so. I would say so. Again, you know, when you have to represent yourself, you can put the allegations in. You know, some lawyers have criticized me over the, say, Kevin, you have some long petitions. And I said, yes, I do, because I want all the facts in there. Even if we got into a misunderstanding with the judge and we didn't get to present it and we had to appeal it. So I always make preparation for the record. And, you know, one of the other things I always, and I tell you the same thing, be sure and sign it. When you sign that, then you put your label, and I always have the client sign my pleadings because it's really their statements.
And if you don't know exactly, maybe you know it upon information or belief.
I was the one that initiated the investigation. That's why I'm saying I know it for a fact.
Yes. Yes. Well, then yes.
Okay, so it's okay then?
Yes.
It can't be sanctioned or anything for, okay.
Well, you know, let me say this too. You know, anybody can sue anybody at any time for anything. Remember, if someone takes issue with your statement of the facts, they can turn around and say, hey, this is malicious prosecution. Hey, this is slander. So, you know, there's never an absolute guarantee. Whenever you get into court, it's really, really serious.
I understand. Second question.
Hit it.
This is kind of a hit-and-run situation. I was traveling out, I think it was Highway 100, out that direction fairly recently, and I should preface this by saying I don't have a cell phone. And I almost hit, and I don't even know what this was because it happened so fast. Probably a deer or something on that order. I don't know if there are any deer in Bellevue, but and unfortunately I didn't hit it. But I was just wondering after the fact, had I hit it, what would be my responsibility? Because there was really no place I could stop. I certainly, like I said, I didn't have a cell phone, so I couldn't call anybody. And I'm just not sure what the rules would be in a situation like that.
Again, that gets into interpretation. If you had done property damage, you hit that and you went over and tore up someone's fence, then yes, you need to report it and you're going to have to get out of the car and walk. You're going to have to do something, or they could charge you with leaving the scene of an accident. If you hit a deer and the deer got up and ran off, I think you could probably go on. Again, I would report whatever. A good understanding keeps down a misunderstanding. No one can ever get you for trying to report something. And you know, I've had people call me and say, well, Kevin, a motorcycle just ran in the back end of me. And I got out and they said they're fine and they want to go on. Well, okay, they went on. And then the guy on the motorcycle turned around and called the police, said they ran off. So it just creates, it's open to interpretation. Use your best judgment. Try to be as honest and as clear as you possibly can. And you're doing excellent. You've identified the issues, and well done.
All right, we've got Lauren here. Hi, Lauren.
It's Laura.
Oh, hi, Laura. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I have a question about payday advances.
Okay, hit it.
Okay. I have one that's gone out of business. and it's been about 8 years since they went out of business, but yet they still occasionally will come back and try to get me to pay that payday advance.
Okay. Well, what I would say, if it's past 8 years, statute of limitations has run. That would have been a contract, and there's 6 years. Many times, if you had one harassing you, trying to, it's against the Fair Debt Collection Act for them to even try to pursue that. And sometimes people come to us, and we write letters for them, and that's the end of it.
It's amazing that's gone on for that long.
And then advance them. Yes.
Yeah. All right, we've got Kathy here. Hi, Kathy.
How
can we help you tonight?
I have a friend that has a daughter-in-law that lived here for numerous years, and she got into trouble along the way, and she didn't show up for a court date.
Okay.
And then they came and deported her. Is there any way that she possibly could ever come back to this country? She does have a child here.
Yes, absolutely. You know, that's one of the hot issues everywhere we go. But I want to urge everybody, the earlier that you can get your lawyer, they can advance and divert,
and
make
someone
applications.
Who really specializes in immigration.
Yes,
probably.
Because what you could do, many times the court, have you filed? Is there, well, I didn't know I had to. Well, it's a little late. So advance on it. Remember, there's a doctrine called laches, and it means do not sit on your rights. So if you learn anything from tonight's show, if you've got this, move. One of the things that I'm known for is a proactive approach. I don't wait for them to hit me. I'm going to move forward. And that's the same advice I'd give you or my family members.
All right, again, that number 737 plus 737 7587. We've got Antoine, who's been waiting patiently here. Good morning, Antoine, or good evening, rather.
Hello, how you doing?
Great. Go ahead.
I got a child support question.
Yes.
Okay, I was on child support back a few years, and then my child's mother took me off the child support because I didn't know the child's mine at first, so I was doing real well with her.
Okay.
So, you know, we had a miscommunication when the girl got a little older, so I had another case of child support, so I called to check on my balance on that one, and I was zeroed out on that one. And then all of a sudden, I have a $24,000 bill.
Wow.
I'm in arrears $24,000 with the other baby mom, and I wasn't even on child support.
Wow. Well, obviously what has happened, somebody's made some mistakes and they've redirected your payments, and you need to hire a lawyer and go back in both cases. For all those who are paying child support, you know, this question is very common. They say, well, I buy the kid clothes. I pay for them to go to all the ball camps. You don't get credit for that. The only thing you get credit for is when you give a money order and you keep your receipts. Remember, when the judge is there, if you don't have the evidence, they won't look at it. They'll just dismiss you. And you say, well, I always gave her cash. I gave her X amount of dollars. Your testimony will not suffice in the vast majority of the courts. Now, some people say, well, that's a double standard because only testimony put this guy in the penitentiary. That's true. But judges throughout the state have been ruling consistently that you've got to have the evidence. Your word alone won't carry.
All right, good advice there. We've got Brendan here. Hi, Brendan.
Brandon, yes, that's me.
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello, attorney. How are you doing this evening?
Great.
Good.
Yeah, basically I have two questions, and then basically I'm just going to hang up.
Okay.
I have a lot of callers. First of all, let's hypothetically say somebody, a driver, has been involved in a vehicular homicide where they were wrong, whether they were speeding. Let's just take speeding.
Okay.
How far back, if it went to trial, could the prosecution bring up a driving record? Is it just the 3 years, or can they dig up stuff that's on microfilm?
Okay, well...
Second question is, with the O.J. Simpson sentencing when he was originally sentenced in Las Vegas, isn't that sentence quite unusual? And do you think that judge was playing payback for crimes she might have felt he was guilty for? And I'll hang up and listen. You guys have a good evening. Okay.
How long can they go back and use your driving record? Under a DUI in the state of Tennessee, they go back 10 years. Now, there's a whole lot. Well, remember this. With every rule, there's 10 exceptions to the rule. So you could say, okay, what about this? Lawyer jumps up. hearsay, Your Honor. And that judge says, that's right, it's hearsay. Mr. Kennedy jumps up, excuse me, Your Honor, this is an exception to the hearsay rule. Okay, I'll hear your argument, Mr. Kennedy. So then I'll argue, and he'll either rule with me or against me. And we have multiple rulings throughout a trial, and if we don't win, those are grounds for appeal. So again, is it 3 years? Is it 10 years? Or could we say it's an exception to the rule and we could bring in bad acts, bad character, and that's determined if the person takes the stand to testify or not. That's where a skilled trial lawyer, you'll hear the judge from time to say, excuse me, Mr. Kennedy, he's opened the door. I hear it all the time. That's one of my techniques. And they'll say, we've already ruled on that, Judge. You said earlier that he cannot bring up that history. I said, Your Honor, that's correct. We didn't bring it up. He brought it up, and it's fair game now. He said, proceed, Mr. Kennedy. And that's the way it goes.
And that's a hard question in a vacuum because there's so many factors that
go into it. And again, you did good because you identified. Guess what? Even the judges are unsure. And they'll hear my argument, they'll hear that argument, and they've got to call it because the trial must go on.
What about his question about O.J.? Do you think the minimum of 9 years is unusual?
Well, you know, armed robbery is a very serious. I've seen people convicted and they've been sentenced to 30 years, 40 years. They'll do a third of that, and then they're eligible for parole. O.J., it's a great argument. Many people were outraged. They thought he got away with murder. This is our catch-up. Remember, it's true. You will reap what you sow. So if you continue to sow your life with deceit, dishonesty, believe it or not, somewhere it will catch up with you. And that's just part of how life goes.
Well, we all know how Kevin Kennedy feels about O.J., I guess, from that.
Well, I still love O.J.'s trial because it made a big turning point in my legal career.
But a lot of people did criticize that judge, I guess, saying that maybe she was payback for the Nicole Brown Simpson. So.
Absolutely.
Interesting, but a lot of coverage on that today. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back to take your calls after this.